Hey y'all, man, I want to apologize to y'all the last video I had for being so emotional, but I'm sure you've all probably heard that new Mr. Smith passed away, and I had just found that out when I tried to make that video. I shouldn't even have done it, but it was a really big shock to me. I really thought he would pull through this, and God bless him, and many prayers for his family and friends, but we got to move on. I started making a nut for this Harley guitar. I got this cool tool, man, not too long ago from StewMac. It's a nut sander. It's more like a vise to put a nut in, but so far it's been pretty accurate. I did run into a problem. All I've done so far, this was a nut blank, and you guys know about what size they are, and I wanted to thin it out to fit in the nut slot, which I did. So I had it in here. The way this thing works, you've got these two set screws right here to open this piece of plastic up. They're on springs, and I put it down in there, and then you tighten these up to hold it in there, which I don't have it in there right. Let me put it in right so I can show you how it actually works. I've got it stuck in there now. But these two set screws right here push this piece of plastic down on springs to hold it in. These set screws set the depth on it. I should have had this set up before I started, because it barely holds the width of a blank. Like you can see, I just dropped a screw. Let me pick that up. Oh God, if I can find it. There it is. Back's giving me fits today. All right. You get it in there, and these push it down to the depth you want. I'll show you how this works in just a second. But the problem I was having was getting these two set screws right here to go down deep enough. See, it's got a lock nut on there. I back that lock nut all the way out and screw that all the way down. It wasn't giving me enough depth to make this thin enough to go in here. I've contacted StewMac about it. I might be missing something, I don't know. But what I did, I took these lock nuts off, put the set screws back in. If you can see on top, they've got little marks so you know where you're at. So I put the set screws back in, and I already knew how much I needed to take off. I'd measured that. And according to this, one full rotation is 1 millimeter or 4/100ths of an inch. So after taking these off, I'm using a belt sander. What I did when I put it on the belt sander, I just hung on to the screws so they wouldn't turn. These lock nuts keep that from happening when you're using it correctly. But anyway, I got the right thickness on it now to fit in the slot. So I guess I probably won't show you today the rest of this, but I wanted to show you this tool and show you what I was doing, because I still have some measurements to do on this nut before I actually finish making it. But I'll show you how I make it. But this tool also, you pull these set screws out, there's two more holes outside that you can use this to make saddles for an acoustic guitar also, which I thought was pretty cool, pretty good idea. But as we work our way down now, you just tighten these down. You don't want to over tighten them so that this plastic's starting to bend. Just snug them up. You can kind of tell what's going on. So I've got that in there now. And what I'll do first off, I'll back these out and get that nut shoved down in there. And you have to look at the tool itself. If you look from this side, from the metal side, and see how much you've got sticking out there, you don't go by that. The plastic side is the way I've been going by it. You just want barely a little bit hanging out of there. Something like that, just a tiny bit, stick it up, and you screw these set screws back down, lock them in place. Well, first you want to line these up so they're the same. Get your marks so they're the same. Lock them down. And now I put it on the sander and just get this flat to make sure I'm starting with a flat nut. And even when you buy these blanks, they're not going to be perfectly flat. So that's your first step. You want to get that flat. After I do that, then I can go on with making the nut. It fits in the slot. There's no radius in this nut slot here, so it's going to be flat. So once I get this flat, I'll mark that so I don't lose reference on the nut itself. But once I figure out, I do some measurements, you know, to find out what the height is of your nut you want it to be. After I get this flat, I can measure that nut, set of calipers. Then when I set these in here with these set screws like this, so I'm going to take it down 1 millimeter at a time. Just unscrew that lock nut, and from the reference point that I was at, I'll just take it one complete turn around, lock the lock nut back down. Do it on both of them. Lock it down. Now when I put this back up on my sander, it's going to sand 1 millimeter, and I've already checked this, it's pretty accurate. It'll sand 1 millimeter of this off. And you don't have to worry about sanding the bottom of the tool or the wheels or anything. The wheels will eventually start turning on the sander, but the wheels will not let this metal and plastic get to the sander. So what you can feel it once it stops cutting the nut, and you'll take it out and check it. You know, if I want another millimeter off, half a millimeter, or quarter millimeter, whatever, just turn this screw. If I want a quarter millimeter, turn a quarter of a turn. I thought this was a pretty cool tool. But I've emailed StewMac about the problem I have having to take these off to get it to go down deep enough to cut this width on this blank. But this has so far saved me a good amount of time. I like it. Alright y'all, that'll be it for today, but I'll show you how to make the rest of this nut when I get to it. Take care.